Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. And in this lesson, I'm gonna be teaching you exactly how you can easily get all of these multiple choice questions correct in the IELTS reading test. So in this lesson, I'm gonna be giving you strategies and useful tips that can be applied in multiple choice questions in IELTS reading exam. And we will also be doing some practice so that you can apply those strategies and tips into practice. So let's dive in. Multiple choice questions are always in order. They are always in order. And it is easy to locate the answer. They are always in order. Multiple choice questions are divided into two types. First one is, for example, if you have question number 14 here we might have a question. We might have a question ending with a question mark. Question ending with a question mark, or we might have something like uncompleted sentence, incomplete sentence, sorry, incomplete incomplete mm, incomplete sentence. I'm gonna write S here. For example, you're gonna have a fragment and then you do need to find the other part of the sentence from the choices A, B, C, D, and D. A, B, C, D. And in multiple choice questions, you have, as I said, four choices that you have to choose. The very first thing that you're gonna do when you see these multiple choice questions is reading the questions and highlighting keywords. You are gonna have mostly unchangeable view or keywords as well in multiple choice questions. And the next thing that you're gonna do is go to the passage and start reading. And whenever you see the first question of multiple choice questions, you're gonna immediately go there and find the answers. So incorrect answer choices can actually be relevant to the topic, but they might not be stated, or there might be a word, only one word that is stated, not only the whole part. Even just one word in the answer choice can make that choice incorrect. For example, like usually, you do need to avoid extreme language, but not always. It might be the case where you might be doing mistakes because of using some extreme words like always or only. These words can actually change the answer. So let's have a look at the real example. So here we have it. As I said, the first thing that you're gonna do is read the questions first and highlight keywords. What are we told about the product? Call it a Swiffer. So the question is asking about what are we told about that product, right? And that product is named Swiffer. This question is this first type of multiple choice question, not the second type, because it ends with a question mark. It states a direct question, right? Let's read the next question. When Jonah Lechler, this is unchangeable keyword, it's the name of a person, which is really easy to find, right? Began writing his book. This is incomplete sentence, right? It's giving the first part of the sentence and we need to find the second part of the sentence. Began writing his book, something happened. Okay, we're not gonna read the answer choices. Why? Because it just confuses us. Lichvir refers to the singer Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is unchangeable keyword. It is gonna be easy to find it in order to do something. It is mainly purpose question. They are referring to some sort of persons to do what? What did neuroscientists discover from the experiment? Word puzzle experiment. This is keyword here. Let's go to the passage and start reading, which is our next step. For a fascinating tale about creativity, look at a cleaning product called Swiffer and how it came about. Edges writer Jonach Lichter. In the story of the Swiffer, he argues we have the key elements in producing breakthrough ideas: frustration, moments of insight, and sheer hard work. The story starts with a multinational company which had invented products for keeping homes spotless and couldn't come up with better ways to clean floors, so it hired designers to watch how people clean it. So this story, story of Swiffer, starts off with a multinational company, and what that company had done was inventing products for keeping people's homes clean. And because they didn't have really good ideas, what they did was observing how people clean it. Frustrated after hundreds of hours of observation, after they watched how people cleaned their house, like after watching hundreds of hours, what happened? Then one day noticed that a woman do with a paper towel what people do all the time: wipe something up and throw it away. An idea popped into lead designer Harry West's head. The solution to their problem was a floor map. So they one day that company like that those people noticed a woman, and that woman was wiping something up and then throwing it away. And then to solve that problem, they came up with a great idea, which was a floor mop with a disposable cleaning surface. Mountains of prototypes and years of teamwork later, they unveiled the Swiffer, which quickly became a commercial success. Commercial success means it was sold really good financially. So now we are gonna go to the choices. It is designers had little experience working with household products. We don't really know that. Once the idea for it was conceived, it didn't take long to develop. Are they talking about uh, how long it took? Mm, it is actually an opposite, because mountains of prototypes and years of teamwork later, then what they did was inventing Swiffer. Yes. So it took long. So B is the opposite of what the passage is saying. It achieved profits beyond the manufacturer's expectations. This expectations. Are they talking about whether it was beyond their expectation or not? This is something that they haven't talked about. They they didn't said something what they expected, and they did not say the reality. So we can easily eliminate C. Its design was inspired by common housework habit. Yes. Why? Because uh, they said that they came up with this sort of great idea after noticing woman doing that habit, doing that housework habit, which was wiping something up and throwing it away. And yeah, so the answer is D. The reason why A is incorrect is because they didn't tell whether their designers had little experience or not. There was nothing about having little experience of designers. So let's continue reading the passage. Liechner, the author of Imagine, a new book that seeks to explain how creativity works, says this study of the imagination started from a desire to understand what happens in the brain at the moment of sudden insight. So, Liechner, who is the author of Imagine, and Imagine is a name of a book which explains how creativity works. So, what that author of that book says is that this study of imagination actually started from a desire to understand what happens in the brain at the moment of sudden insight. So, after sudden insight, what's going to happen in the brain, right? But the book definitely spiraled out of control. Liechner says, when you talk to creative people, they will tell you about the eureka moment. But when you press them, they also talk about the hard work that comes afterwards. So I realized I needed to write about that too. And then I realized I couldn't just look at creativity from the perspective of the brain because it is also about the culture and contexts, about the group and the team and the way we collaborate. So when you talk to those people who are so creative, they will talk about a moment when like sudden insight comes, and they say that there's going to be a lot of hard work afterwards as well. So what the writer of that book called Imagines realized was he or she doesn't have to look just on creativity in the brain, but also look at the culture and context, right? About that group and the way they collaborate. So when Jonah Riechel began writing his book, he had not intended to focus on creativity. Uh, no, he actually intended. It's just contradicting what is said in the passage. He ended up revising his plans for the content. Yeah, this might be. He was working in a highly creative environment. Do we know that he was working in a highly creative environment? There was nothing about that sort of environment, right? So we can easily cross out C. He was driven by his experience on the Eureka moment. Did he has his own experience of Eureka moment? We don't really know that, right? As you can see, most of the choices do have some sort of what, for example, Eureka, which is mentioned in the text, but we don't really know whether he was driven by his own experience, whether that was his own experience or not. There's something like two words can change the answer completely. So the best choice of these four is B. He ended up revising his plans for the content. You can actually find the correct answer by eliminating the incorrect answer choices. This is far more really efficient strategy that many people use. Okay, let's continue. When it comes to the mysterious process by which inspiration comes into your head as if from nowhere, Lienhe says modern neuroscience has produced a first draft explanation of what is happening in the brain. For example, when like some sort of encouragement or inspirations comes to your head, now they like neuroscientists has produced an explanation of what happens when inspiration suddenly comes up to your mind. He writes of how burnout American singer Bob Dylan. Now like the writers started talking about Bob Dylan. Decided to walk away from his musical career in 1965 and escape to a cabin in the woods, only to be overcome by a desire to write. So, in 1965, that singer, Bob Dylan, didn't want to continue being a he wanted to just walk away from his musical career. He didn't want to be a singer anymore. And what he did was going to a cabin in the woods. And what he wanted to do was to write. He wanted to write. Apparently, like a rolling stone suddenly flowed from his pen, it's like a ghost is writing a song. Dylan has reportedly said, "It gives you the song and it goes away. It's no ghost," according to Lechler. So why he like Lechler referred to that singer whose name is Bob Dylan because uh, how he suddenly came up with this sort of inspirational idea, in my opinion, how he suddenly wanted to uh, get away from music and to go to writing and even like going to escaping to a cabin in the woods, right? So let's go to the choices. And the other important strategy is to have your own answer. Sometimes you might not have that, but having your own answer in your own words can really help you to find the correct answer. So, yeah, let's go to the choices. Illustrates how ideas seem spontaneous might be. That's a good choice. Exemplify ways in which we might limit our inventiveness. Have they talked about limiting our inventiveness? No, right? There was nothing about limiting. Contrast different approaches to stimulating the imagination. Did we have any approaches? Different approaches? No, right? We didn't have any different approaches. Propose particular approaches to regaining lost creativity. Was there any creativity lost? We don't really know that, right? We didn't have anything about lost creativity. So the answer is A. Let's continue reading. Instead, the right hemisphere of the brain is assembling connections between past influences and in, making something entirely new. Neuroscientists have roughly charted this process by mapping the brains of people doing word puzzles. Okay, solve it by making sense of remotely connecting information. For instance, subjects are given three words such as age, miles, and stand, and asked to come up with a single word that can precede or follow each of them to form a compound word. It happens to be stone. Using brain imaging equipment, researchers discovered that when people get the answer in an apparent flash of insight, a small fall of issue called the anterior superior temporal gyrus suddenly lights up just beforehand. This stays silent when the word puzzle is solved through careful analysis. Lieke says that this area of the brain lights up only after we've hit the wall on a problem. Then the brain starts hunting through the filling cabinets of the right hemisphere to make the connections that produce the right answer. Okay, so we had that word puzzle experiment, and at that experiment, uh, there were three words, in this case, age, mile, cent, and they were asked to come up with a single word that has to follow these three words, and the actual answer was stone. And like there was brain imaging equipment and researchers could actually discover what when people get the answer, a small fold of tissue suddenly lights up. Like that sort of small part of a brain lights up beforehand. And that area of the brain lights up only after we understand a problem, right? So yeah, that small part of the brain can solve those um, problems. So now let's look at the choices, right? Memories are easier to retrieve when they are more meaningful. Was it something that they discovered? No, right? It might be logically true, but we don't have that in the text, right? So never depend on your own knowledge. Even if that is true, just like base yourself on the text. Analytical approach to problem solving is not necessarily effective. Have they said that analytical approach is not that effective? We don't really know that. They haven't talked about analytical approach. One part of the brain only becomes active when a connection is made suddenly. Yes, that's exactly the answer. Why? Because it's uh, an exact paraphrase of this sentence. This area of the brain lights up only after we hit the wall on a problem. This is the exact paraphrase of the answer choice C. Creative people tend to take a more instinctive approach to solving language problems. Nothing about language problems, nothing about instinctive approach. Nothing about creative people as well. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment below, and share it because it indicates the content that I'm creating is actually useful and it really motivates me to make more videos in the future. Goodbye.